Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this week's news recap. First headline, Bitcoin Core had high severity bug in 2018 is now fixed. Bitcoin's main software had a critical bug that could have split the $190 billion network in two and allowed attackers to steal funds. The denial of service vulnerability was discovered in the Bitcoin Core software over 2 years ago, but has not been publicly disclosed until now. Although it was quietly fixed in 2018, reporting of the bug was delayed because it took node operators longer than expected to update their software. The vulnerability ranked 7.8 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 9 or above being considered critical. Luckily, no attempt to take advantage of this vulnerability was found. Next headline, DeFi ushers in record-breaking volume in August. If you've been following everything in DeFi this summer, you will probably not be surprised to hear that August was a record-breaking month for on-chain volume, trading, and Ethereum transaction fees. Total adjusted on-chain volume, which serves as a proxy for economic throughput, saw a 30-month high. Bitcoin's on-chain volume increased by 23% from $66 billion to $81 billion. Ethereum's on-chain volume showed a massive increase of 82%, from $24 billion to $44 billion. Overall, Bitcoin still maintained an on-chain volume in August that was almost 2 times higher than Ethereum's. Transaction fees on Ethereum, thanks to the burgeoning DeFi market, reached an all-time high of over 40% of total miner revenue, compared to 10% in May. Big names are taking notice of the DeFi frenzy, as the volume of DeFi tokens on over-the-counter desks has ballooned over the last quarter. However, these desks still appear wary of trading on decentralized exchanges. Binance announced its own AMM pool for liquidity providers dubbed Binance Liquidity Swap. The pool will offer different liquidity pools with instant token swap functionality, although the protocol itself is not decentralized. As for September, volume on Uniswap in the first 10 days of the month has already surpassed August's total numbers, and the second largest DEX, Curve, had also exceeded August record numbers by Thursday. And next week, Coinbase Pro will add trading in YFI. Next headline, Swerve reaches half of Curve's deposits in days. Just a week after launch, Swerve Finance, the unaudited fork of automated market maker Curve Finance, has gathered deposits worth $525 million. That's about half of Curve's total value locked, which is just over $1 billion. Swerve is a 100% community-owned and governed fork of Curve and generated SWRV tokens for users on day one of the AMM launching. Curve, in comparison, did not issue a token from the start, and when it did, an anonymous developer deployed smart contracts without the team's knowledge. Larry Cermak of The Block compared and contrasted Swerve and SushiSwap since they are both successful forks of popular DeFi projects. He says this trend of forking successful DeFi projects will continue. Quote, there will be a struggle between the original protocols that have the brand and development talent versus the protocols that have a fairer distribution and more community-driven governance. Next headline. Bitcoin transactions are up among small businesses in Africa. Small business owners in Africa are turning to Bitcoin for the speed and convenience it offers when paying their suppliers. Reuters reports that Bitcoin transfers in Africa have jumped over 55% in a year to reach $316 million in June, according to data from Chainalysis. The number of monthly transfers is also up almost 50% to over 600,000, with the bulk of the activity taking place in Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. Driving the boom are the young, tech-savvy population of the continent, as well as trade with China. Chainalysis found that East Asia is a top partner when it comes to Bitcoin trading in Africa. Bitcoin has also boosted profits for these businesses, thanks to savings in money transfer fees and reduced foreign exchange fees from converting to and from the US dollar. One seller of mobile phones, Abalaji Odunjo, says of using Bitcoin, quote, you don't have to pay charges, you don't have to buy dollars. In related news, Digital Currency Group announced it had acquired Luno, a retail-focused exchange with a strong presence in Africa as well as Southeast Asia. Luno, which launched in 2013, has received funding from DCG since 2014 and the acquisition positions DCG to have a strong presence in emerging markets. Next headline, 700 ETH lost in Chainlink attack. 9 Chainlink node operators suffered an attack on August 30th that resulted in 700 ETH, or about $335,000 at the time, taken from their hot wallets. Exploiting the way nodes respond to queries, the attackers sent price feed requests, which resulted in node operators spending large amounts of gas, which then pushed up the price of Chi, a tokenized form of gas. The attacker then minted Chi tokens at these elevated prices, later selling them for ETH. Once the node operators were drained of ETH, they were unable to fulfill data requests. The attack lasted 2 hours until a temporary solution to block non-whitelisted requests from active DeFi protocols such as Aave and Synthetics was implemented. A Chainlink spokesperson said the attack did not impact its network, despite node operators paying the high fees necessary to continue powering the system. While stating that consumers were not affected, the spokesperson acknowledged that elevated gas prices prompted the attack. Next headline. A DeFi trader turned $200 into $290,000 by exploiting a bug in sci-fi. An anonymous trader says they stumbled into an opportunity that led to them quitting their day job. A Twitter user named Amplify said that they traded $200 worth of an obscure coin called sci-fi, a derivative of Wi-Fi. And at the time of the rebase malfunctioned, and their spontaneous trade netted them $290,000. On Uniswap, Amplify saw that 2 sci-fi would turn into 15,551 sci-fi, which is worth 740 ETH at the time, or about $250,000. Amplify at first thought it was a UI bug, but figured that if not, they would lose less than $50 in fees, so it was worth trying. Their win was everyone else's loss. The project collapsed. Amplify says they meant no harm to anyone, while also making clear they saw the developers as responsible for offering a pre-sale for a forked coin and then pushing it forward with unaudited code. They also reiterated they had no idea the bug existed, saying, quote, "I simply pressed a button because I saw something unbelievable on the other side." On a related note, Twitter user CryptoPlato posted a screenshot from the Swerve Discord on September 8th showing a transaction in which someone lost $1 million by sending that amount of money to the Swerve token contract rather than a liquidity pool. Be careful, DeFi traders. Next headline. Fun bits. Jack Dorsey on making Bitcoin more accessible. In a Reuters interview, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey said, quote, "I think the internet wants native currency, and I think Bitcoin is the best manifestation of that thus far." He said it was important for people like him and other operators to make Bitcoin easy for people to access, understand, and utilize. He said the 2 critical challenges it faces are the long transaction times and the lack of an intuitive, user-friendly interface. Second fun bits. ETH2 Mandala Data Challenge. With Ethereum's Mandala testnet now live, the Ethereum community has issued a challenge to all Ethereans to document their, quote, best Mandala data insights in the most readable blog post possible, for prizes of up to $15,000. The deadline for submissions is October 20th and must concern data analysis or visualization of the Mandala testnet using open source tools and scripts referenced in the blog post. If you're interested in participating, check out the link in the show notes for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. To learn more about 0x Maki and SushiSwap, be sure to check out the links in the show notes of this episode. If you're used to listening to the show as a podcast, you might want to check us out on YouTube sometime so you can see the crazy DeFi outfits of at least some of my guests. Go to youtube.com/z/Unchained podcast and subscribe today. Unconfirmed is produced by me, Laura Shin, with help from Anthony Yoon, Daniel Nuss, and the team at CLK Transcription. Thanks for listening.